everybody, and welcome to Enjoy English. I am Shane.
大家好，我是 Bernice.
And today we are looking at a very interesting beverage choice.
Yeah.
Aren't we? Our title is called Caught in Matcha Mania. The green craze that is taking the world by storm. Shoo is taking it over by storm. Now, when we say something is like matcha mania or something mania, mania means like crazy. So it means people are like going crazy for matcha. So the world is really crazy about matcha. And that's why it says the green craze. Now, crazy we know is an adjective.
Yeah.
A craze is a noun.
Yes.
So it's the green craze, because matcha is green, that is taking the world by storm. When you take the world by storm, it means it's like you're taking over the world. It's very popular.
Yeah.
And many people know about it, and it's all over the news. Everyone's talking about it. It's very interesting.
没错，所以刚才Shane老师一开头就讲了，我们今天要介绍的是一个 beverage， 就是跟饮料喝的有关的一个东西，叫做抹茶啦。所以我们今天要陷入抹茶的狂热之中。刚才老师讲了一个字 mania， 这个字呢就是指说哇很疯狂的意思，你非常非常喜欢它的意思。然后这个东西呢是一个绿色的风潮，现在要风靡全球了。所以刚刚叫 take something by storm， 有没有 storm 像暴风雨那种感觉的意思？所以意思就是说呢，会整个席卷，造成轰动的意思。
Great. All right, let's get into it.
好的。
Caught in matcha mania. Everyone knows that eating green vegetables is good for their health. However, the color green has recently drawn attention for another reason. Matcha, a traditional Japanese tea. Matcha is a powdered green tea made from specially grown tea leaves. Before the harvest, the tea plants are shaded for several weeks, which helps give the leaves their bright green color and rich flavor. After being picked, the leaves are steamed, dried, and ground into a fine powder. The taste of matcha varies depending on the quality of the leaves and how it is produced. The traditional way to drink matcha is through a tea ceremony that is known as sado or chanoyu. This ceremony focuses on harmony, respect, purity, and calmness. Everything in a tea ceremony is carefully planned, from the tea tools to the decorations and the artwork in the tea room. In recent years, a trend called matcha mania has spread around the world. Matcha is now widely used in drinks and many kinds of desserts. This global trend is believed to be largely driven by social media, where people share photos, reviews, and recipes.
Okay, so we're talking about matcha. We know it's green, right? And this will remind us of green vegetables. So the first sentence here says, everyone knows that eating green vegetables is good for their health. So do you eat a lot of green vegetables?
Every day.
Every single day?
Yes.
What a good girl.
Yes.
I don't know if I have green vegetables every day, but at least every other day. So I eat green vegetables quite often as well, but maybe not as much as you.
OK， 所以我们要多吃绿色蔬菜啦。
Yeah, and everybody knows this.
Yep.
It's very common knowledge that green vegetables are good for you. They're good for your health, and that you should eat as many as you can.
Yes.
OK.
所以呢，每个人都知道吃这个绿色蔬菜呢，是对我们自己的健康是有好处的啊。所以就像Shane老师讲的，他虽然没有每天吃，可是他 every other day 就是每隔一天就会吃一次了。
At least.
至少。
Okay, continuing. However, the color green has recently drawn attention for another reason. Matcha,
Yeah.
a traditional Japanese tea. So I think we're all pretty familiar with matcha, this green tea. In fact, I had matcha tea today with my lunch.
今天老师中餐就有喝这个了。
I had matcha tea, and it's just so cool. It's so much different than other teas, right? Because it's like you can just mix it with water.
Yes.
And you don't actually use it like a tea bag like you normally would, or put the tea and then soak it in the water. No, you can just mix it up and drink it, and it's really bright green.
没错，所以老师就讲，他今天早餐就喝了这个抹茶了啊，
午餐。
对，当午餐，对，就喝这个东西了。所以他这边呢讲了一个 however， 就是说前面这个句子虽然我们大家都知道吃绿色的蔬菜对我们的健康是有好处的，可是呢，其实呢，现在这个绿色这个颜色呢，在最近已经吸引了大家的这个注意力了。所以我们知道这个 drawn， 它原本就是 draw 这个字吸引的意思 ，draw attention 的意思。可是它是为了另外一个理由，就是因为抹茶这个东西呢，它是一个传统的日式的茶。
Yeah, and we know it's green just like green vegetables, but is it as good for you as green vegetables? Well, we're going to find out a little bit about the benefits and all about green tea, about this matcha green tea. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, so I think pretty much everybody, I mean, most people do know what matcha is, right? It's pretty common. It's not like this should be a very new thing to you. You've probably had it yourself. Most people have. So matcha is a powdered green tea made from specially grown tea leaves. Now, it's powdered. Now, when something is powdered, powder as a noun just means something that has been crushed up very fine so that it's almost like soft into little pieces, right? And to powder something, if it's powdered, it's made into a powder. So this is a green tea powder. So they crush up the leaves till they're really small, until they're into like little pieces that are actually soft. And that's what powder is.
没错，所以老师刚才在用这个手指头比的这个动作 ，OK， 那老师也有讲了，它是非常的 fine， 就是很细致、很细微的这样的一个东西。所以他讲的就是抹茶啦。抹茶一般来讲呢，我们在喝的时候就不是像刚才轩老师有举例说，就不会用 tea bags， 就不会放一个茶包进去了。对，我们通常是用粉状的，所以这边的 powdered 就是用动词，然后加了 ed 变成一个形容词，所以就是粉状的，所以它是一种粉状的这种绿茶。那它是用什么来制作而成的呢？是从 made from， 从一些呢比较特殊一些的种植的茶叶，所以 grown 就是被种植的，所以要用这个过去分词。然后呢 tea leaves 就是茶叶。
Right, okay. Before the harvest, the tea plants are shaded for several weeks, which helps give the leaves their bright green color and rich flavor. Okay, so they say before the harvest. Now, harvest is when you are growing vegetables or you're growing plants or you're growing something that you're going to want to then use. When you go and get those things, once they've become ripe or they've become full grown, you harvest them. That means you kind of pick them, and then you're going to use them for whatever purpose you're going to use them for. And we also had another vocabulary word, flavor. Now, flavor is just the way that something tastes. So we say that this has a rich flavor. It just means it tastes very rich.
没错，所以呢，这个句子就是 before the harvest。刚刚老师有解释 ，harvest 就是你把这个东西种下去，你希望要拿，等它 ripe。刚才老师有讲一个字 ripe， 就是成熟了。等到这些东西成熟了，你要收成嘛，你要把它拿来用啊，或拿来吃啊，怎么样的？这个就叫 harvest。好，首先呢，它这个茶树呢，这个 tea plants， 首先要做一个动作是 shade。shade 是我们的那个人的阴影。
Or it could be
或者是东西的阴影
right, like a tree or a building.
对，东西人这个阴影，所以 shaded 就是你要被盖住、被遮盖住。你想想看嘛，你遮盖，你上面有光，你把它盖住，才能把你遮起来。所以呢，首先呢，它要把它遮印的生长，而且是要好几个礼拜哦，不是说1、2天的时间，它好几个礼拜你都要把它这样子遮印住。为什么要做这个动作？它用了 which。 which， 然后加上逗点，因为这个 which 指的是前面这件事情，就是当这一些所谓的采摘前的茶树把它遮映起来生长这件事情，可以帮助呢给予这些叶子呢，让它们怎么样呢？有一些这个 bright green color， 哇，它的颜色就是非常亮亮的绿色，就是你看起来会觉得很新鲜的这种亮亮的鲜艳的绿色。同时呢，它的风味你喝起来的时候非常的 rich， 非常的浓厚。
I think that's very interesting that being in the shade is what gives it such a bright color. Because you think of shade as dark.
Yes.
So it would feel like it would make it a darker color.
对啊，感觉没有行光合作用。
Very interesting. Okay. Continuing, after being picked, the leaves are steamed, dried, and ground into a fine powder. Okay, so the leaves are steamed. Steamed is, well, when we boil water, water becomes steam. So when you steam something, you let that water that has boiled over, that kind of vapor or something.
蒸发.
Yeah, you basically allow that thing to soak in it or to take the steam, and that's steaming something. So sometimes we go to a steam bath, or sometimes you take a shower, it's really hot, and you'll see some steam in there, and you're steaming yourself.
对。
So they steam these leaves, right? Then they dry them. Then they ground them up, like we said, to a powder. You have to grind something to make it into a powder.
没
It's
错。
like grind, yeah.
OK， 好了，接下来的下一个步骤呢，就是刚才是采摘前嘛，现在是采摘后，所以 after being picked， 在它被采摘之后呢，这些叶子呢要经过几个步骤。第一个步骤呢，就是要把它蒸，就像老师刚才讲，用水这样子把它蒸出来。所以 steam 这个字呢，在这边当然是当动词啦，哈。那我们知道 steam 也可以像刚才Shane 老师举例，它也可以当名词蒸汽，就是老师说洗澡的时候。你会感受到那个蒸汽。好，所以第一个这些叶子呢要先被蒸青，好，把它弄得青青绿绿的。接下来下一个步骤就把它弄干燥了。干燥之后呢，然后把它 ground into， 这个 ground 为什么是 ground 呢？它的原型是 grind， 是老师刚才讲的 grind， 因为我们这是被动式，所以 grind 要变成 pp 变成 ground， 然后把它研磨磨成刚才老师讲的 fine 细小小的这一些 powder 这些粉状。
Okay. The taste of matcha varies depending on the quality of the leaves and how it is produced. Okay, so matcha, if you've tried lots of different matcha, you might notice, hey, there are some, basically taste the same, but you can notice some differences. And those differences could depend on how good it is, the quality, or it could depend on how it's produced, which means just how they make it, right? So maybe some of those steps, they do them for longer, or they do them for less time. Maybe they're in the shade for longer or less time. There might be some variations or a variety of ways of doing these steps that can come up with a different flavor profile.
对啦，就是中间会有一些变数，有一些变化，就是看你呢在制作这个叶子的过程里面，因为我们刚刚讲嘛，它采摘前有一个动作，采摘后有一个动作，所以你的时间的掌控，还有你中间的这些步骤，如果有一点点的不一样，可能就会影响这一个抹茶。所以他就讲了，它的这一个抹茶的味道呢，其实就是 varies， 就是会不一样。那不一样的原因呢，就是 depending on， 记得这个 depending 是分词构句，因为你这个 vary 是动词了，所以你的 depend 不能再用原形动词，你要加了 ing。那它主要呢取决于 depend on something， 就是取决于什么呢？第一个就是你本身挑出来的那些叶子，它的品质好不好啦？还有呢，就是你是怎么样把它制作出来，所以这些过程跟叶子本身的品质都是会影响它。
Right. Okay, let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
好的。
So the traditional way to drink matcha is through a tea ceremony that is known as sado or chanoyu. Okay?
这两个是日文。
Yeah, so these come from Japanese.
Yeah.
And so it's a tea ceremony. Like when you have a ceremony, that just means there's little steps that you take to perform a ceremony. And it's usually quite formal, right?
没错。
Yeah.
好的，所以刚刚老师在解释这个 ceremony， 同学大概比较熟悉的是 graduation ceremony， 对不对？你毕业之后都会参加毕业典礼了，所以呢 ceremony 就像老师刚才讲的，它有一些步骤，你要第一步先干嘛，然后接着最后颁奖，等等。好，那这也是一样。这个抹茶你要喝的时候呢，它原本的传统的一个方式呢，就是透过一种茶的仪式。那这个仪式呢 is known as 它的名称以什么著名？就是刚才谢老师念的那个2个日文字。那么第一个日文字呢，翻成茶道。我们知道日本人非常注重这个茶呀，你要泡的时候有一些步骤，你不能砰砰砰，那水倒进去搅一搅，砰砰砰，喝不行，它有一些步骤你要遵循的。
This is a ritual.
对，这是一种宗教上很宗教式的这种感觉，所以仪式嘛，对，所以你要按照它的步骤。另外一个就是茶汁汤啦，就是另外这2个日文字的中文意思。
Okay, continuing. This ceremony focuses on harmony, respect, purity, and calmness. Now, when you say that something, the ceremony focuses on, that just means what are the important things that it is really that it's emphasizing when you're doing it. To focus on something means that you kind of look at it closely or you zoom in on it. So when you're doing the ceremony, the important parts of it, the part that you focus on is harmony, respect, purity, and calmness.
对了，所以他接下来就是刚刚老师解释的这个 focus on， 就是你要强调的重点，你要专注在什么上面？因为我们刚刚讲它是一个仪式嘛，所以你不能按照你自己的方法来，你要按照这个仪式它的一些步骤跟规定来做。所以这个仪式呢，它最注重的几个点，第一个你要很和谐，你要在一个很和谐的状态底下，还要你要尊重。对不对？你要尊重这一些茶叶的摘取的人啊，他们都很辛苦啊，然后这些最后这些东西放到你的前面，所以你要尊重这些人。再来呢，要纯净，要保持一个纯净的感觉。最后一个要宁静。对，所以我可能做不到，我觉得这个茶怎么
怎么样了？好喝。
对，就要不行，要宁静。
Just very calm.
对，所以这4个步骤要注意哦。好的。
Okay, continuing. Everything in a tea ceremony is carefully planned, from the tea tools to the decorations and the artwork in the tea room. Okay, so it's all very carefully planned. Like in many ceremonies, most ceremonies, you have steps that you take and you go according to the plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and even the little tools and everything that you use all have some meaning and a place inside of this ceremony.
对了，所以像老师刚才解释的，因为呢，在这一场茶道的茶典礼里面，每一件东西呢都非常的精心安排好的，所以每一个东西都有它使用的方法，以及你要先使用哪一个，接着要用什么东西，然后要接着怎么样，它全部都是 carefully planned。你记得你要用副词，然后所以比如说他就举例啦，例如说呢，不管你要用泡茶的一些茶具啦，到你要在哪里泡茶哈，这里面的茶室，那你到了这个茶室里面，茶室里面会有什么样的搭配，什么样的装饰品，还有它里面的一些艺术品，通通都是要精心安排好的。
Everything's planned perfectly. Okay,
没错。
let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
好的。
Okay, well, so it's not just for tea ceremonies anymore. Everybody's drinking. Like I said, I drink it at lunch today. It's such a common drink these days. So continuing the article, in recent years, a trend called matcha mania has spread around the world. Now, something is a trend, it means something that is popular. Things that people are paying attention to or noticing are trends. So it's something that is very popular, basically, is what a trend is, right? And we call it matcha mania, which we explained in the title. Just means people are crazy about matcha.
是的，所以刚刚就这边最后这一段就讲说，近年来呢，因为它已经变成一个风潮了。刚才老师有解释，这个 trend 就是非常受欢迎的意思嘛，哈。所以这样子的一种风潮呢，我们就把它给它一个名称啦，哈。所以它放在这个 quotation 里面，这个名称呢就叫做抹茶的狂热。那刚刚老师有讲过，这个 mania 就是指 craze。就是你对它很疯狂的意思，然后呢，已经 spread 分散到，已经散布到全球，也就是说，全球都有这样的一种所谓的抹茶狂热的风潮。
Okay, continuing. Matcha is now widely used in drinks and many kinds of desserts. Now we know desserts is sweets that we eat, you know.
Everybody loves it.
Typically you have them after a meal, but you can have desserts any time of the day. Cakes and ice cream, all kinds of things like that are desserts. And have you ever had matcha ice cream before?
Of course.
Of course, right?
I loved it.
They have like matcha, like jellies and matcha drink. They have matcha all kinds of desserts these days. Yeah.
对，所以呢，抹茶的一些很多的甜点，我觉得女生们应该都挺喜欢的，因为抹茶它本身有一点点不是那么甜的感觉，可以把你如果很甜，比如说蛋糕，你如果是 chocolate， 你会觉得哦好甜好甜，可是你如果加了一点抹茶的粉下去，你会觉得对，比较 balance 一点。所以他这边就讲了，这个抹茶呢现在已经 widely used， 一样我们要用副词来修饰后面这个。被使用，所以呢，普遍都被广泛的来使用了。使用在哪里呢？就是像我们的饮品啦，甚至呢，还有各式各样很多的这个种类的甜点里面都有抹茶的使用。
Right. Continuing, this global trend is believed to be largely driven by social media, where people share photos, reviews, and recipes. So when we say something is driven by, it's basically saying what is kind of pushing it. Why is it? How is it becoming popular? It's being driven by. It's being pushed by these things. Social media. They think that social media is the thing that's kind of pushing it forward, where everybody can see it.
没错，对，所以老师刚才解释啦，这边的 driven 虽然它的原型是 drive， 可是它不是开车啊，
不是这样子。
对啊，你开着抹茶，这是什么意思？好怪异哦。所以这边的 drive 是一种驱动力，就像老师刚刚讲，这是一种 push， 把你这样子推动出来的那个感觉。好，所以他就讲了，为什么现在这个抹茶呢，在全球都被广泛的使用呢？就是它现在已经成为一种全球的趋势了。而这个趋势呢 is believed to be， 记得 be 动词加 believed 这个被动式，再加 to 这个不定词 be believed to， 就是别人这么认为，就是普遍大家都这么认为。这是一个很好用的一个被动的一个句型哈 ，be 动词加 believed to 就是 people believe。大家都是这么样的认为跟相信，它主要呢就是为什么现在成为一个 global trend largely 就是主要大多数大家呢都是认为它是 driven by 是被什么所驱动，就是我们现在的 social media， 因为大家会在 social media 上面做什么 where， 所以你在 social media 上面做什么，所以要记得用 where， 因为人们会在上面分享啊，我今天吃了一个抹茶蛋糕，还是抹茶蛋卷，还是我喝了一杯抹茶咖啡、抹茶拿铁。等等等，你会分享你的照片，然后你呢分享完之后，你下面会给评论嘛？评论完之后，对呀，最后呢就说哦，原来这个抹茶是怎么做的，你会给他一些 recipes， 会一些食谱都出现了，所以大家这样子狂热的分享，所以当然它成为一种 global trend。
Okay, that's all the time we have for day 1, but we are going to be back for day 2, so stay tuned and we'll see you then.
All right,
bye-bye.